Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Ape Escape. In the last part, we cleared out Crumbling Castle, finishing off World 5, and now we're starting off World 6, the final normal world in the game.
I've just finished evaluating the new gadget for the professor, and we've sent it over to you. You'll find it in the training room. As the professor's already told you, if you don't complete the training, you can't advance to the next area. Good luck!
To this day, I cannot tell if Cassie's meant to be an android, AI, or what. But now we got the RC car tool. The last one we get in the main game. And this one's interesting because you control the driving of the RC car with the right stick while you can still move around the left stick. This is essentially a long-range weapon that you can move while using, and in that regard, even though it can't hit switches outside of pressure switches, it is theoretically more useful than the slingshot because it can also climb through certain small holes that you could have seen in level design already to hit pressure switches or scare monkeys out of their hiding spaces. A bit hard to use in some regards, but I do really like it.
Spike, something has gone terribly wrong. The professor and Natalie are nowhere to be found. The laboratory has been ransacked and much of the equipment has been destroyed. The apes were here and I believe they've taken the professor and Natalie away with them. You're now being transported to Spector's base area. His exact location is unknown. All I can tell you at this time is that his base is an old factory building located in the middle of town somewhere. Spector's taken it over and is now using it to manufacture weapons. But first, before you head over to the base, find the energy storehouse. The energy storehouse is the heart of Spector's factory. By destroying this, you'll shut down all the power to his base. The energy storehouse is hidden somewhere within a nearby park. Please hurry! The professor and Natalie may be in great danger. One more thing. The base has a heavy and very powerful security system that will not be affected by the power shutdown. So be careful.
And now for Cassie to immediately show us the monkeys, even though she could have just done that right then and there, but they technically can't be the same cutscene for technical reasons behind the scenes, I suppose. Ah, environmental bird chirping. I always hear that and I'm reminded of Mega Man Legends. And not for nothing, I think they actually do a good job using the RC car more than any other tool in the game in the first level you get it, because there's like 2 or 3 monkeys you can only reach with it. This is easily probably the most, I don't want to say omni-useful tool, but it definitely has the most potential uses out of any tools outside of hitting like the switches that slingshots and the stun club can use. Now, this stage has always kind of stuck out with me for a very odd reason, in that there is a mini-boss you can deal with here that I just completely ignore coming up here past this little pipe here. A giant robot's gonna fall out of the sky. And it takes like 7, 8 hits with the stun club or something like that. I would ultimately recommend just ignoring it. If you do try to fight it, you'll hit it, and then it'll do a giant spin attack with its arms, so be careful. If you beat it, you get an extra life. So if you're running low on lives, it could theoretically be good for that, but it takes so long to fight that I would just recommend running away anyway. Now you want to catch some monkeys, and by that I mean every monkey you can in this section to start off, because that unlocks the sewer area they're going to be spending the rest of the stage in. And another use that you saw me do a moment ago with the RC car is it's a really good distraction method. Because if monkeys are actively aggroed and are paying attention to it, they will try to attack it. And that's good not only for the distraction angle, but also if they destroy it, it'll stun them because of the explosion of the RC car. The RC car itself can not only be used as a projectile in its own right, but the explosion it has is very powerful. I think it's by and large the most powerful tool you have in the game. It's at least as damaging as the explosive shots that the slingshot has. So you can get some pretty good damage on boss type enemies with that pretty easily. With that said, the actual boss fights that are left in the game, the three of the normal boss fights left, it's not useful in any of them. So herein lies the problem with trying to use the RC car to scare monkeys out of hiding like this. The monkeys will see that you're there still, and will just kind of bounce between being scared of you and the RC car, and will just take forever to get out of there. I believe as long as they're within the relative confines of the little small gate that they're trying to crawl out of, you can catch them. And even then, I think you can just clip the net into there by swinging it as it is, so you have a bit of leeway there. But it's never felt like it worked exactly right here in Ape Escape 1. If I recall correctly, in Ape Escape 2 and 3, they make it more so that once they start crawling through there, they'll just keep on crawling. And by that I mean, they won't actively run away from you as well. They'll try to prioritize running away from the RC car. But it has been a hot minute since I played Ape Escapes 2 and 3, so I do not remember at the moment. Also notable, the RC car can be used to grab items. For instance, it allows you to grab these cookies, these chips, and you can even use it to grab this Specter coin right here. Gotta be a little bit careful, though. The control on the RC car is very precise, in a way that it's very sharp and feels nice, but the slightest movement of the analog stick can send it moving further than you'd think it would. Like so. With that said, like Spike's control itself, something I've actually barely used throughout the LP, you can just slightly tilt the analog stick to make things move more slowly. I barely use that because, despite this game having a lot of stealth elements when it comes to sneaking up on the monkeys, I prefer to just go hog wild, run towards them, and then whack them with the stun club. Yes, that means I probably get damaged more often than I probably should, but oh well. Now, by and large, the sewer section of... I forget the name of this city. I know the name of this world is Futurama, but I can never remember the name of the actual levels more often than not. Like, I remember Wabi Sabi Wall, Dark Ruins, and Crumbling Castle. But outside of, like, 2 other levels, that's about all the levels I remember at the top of my head. One of my least favorite rooms in the game is also present in this level, and I believe we're quickly approaching it. I want to say it's just on the other side of this pipe we have to swim through. What we're gonna have going on is it's a giant incline room. Is this here? Yes, it is. We're gonna have a bunch of various sized oil barrels, not barrows, rolling down it. They are in 3 sizes: blue, which is the largest, red, which are in the middle, and green, which are very small. They roll down all at the exact same speed, I believe, but you gotta use them to platform from one side of the room to the other. If you just try to rush through this room by using the propeller like I tend to and just trying to jump up and around them, you're probably going to end up falling down and just having a bad time. Take your time in this room, slowly jump from one to the other, use the propeller as a way to slow your descent down, and hopefully you'll get past it soon enough. I've never liked how this room felt. It just does not feel good with the platforming. By and large, this game controls well and the platforming feels alright. But every now and then you get a room like this that just don't feel too good. And that is admittedly a trend throughout the series. Like, I can immediately think of a couple of areas in Ape Escape 3 where things just don't feel too good. I immediately remember liking, for instance, the race car segments in Ape Escape 3 as a kid, but when I last went back, I remember having a lot more problems with them than I did as a kid. Admittedly, though, that's always a little bit of an effect that you can't exactly be super precise with when it comes to memory. Sometimes you just block out some of the hard parts and just think you had an easier time with it when you probably honestly didn't. Thankfully, these oil barrels can't crush you, but you can have some iffy collision with them. Once we get up here, though, we are good. From here, there are 2 directions you can take. You can jump up there for a monkey. You can go through to the right into a couple of rooms that lead you back towards that sunglasses-wearing monkey that was on the pipe in the outside section. And you can also get comboed by these purple Pikachu-looking enemies. They are a very annoying enemy type. Thankfully, they're only really in this level. Maybe as well as one other level now I think about it. You can also go to the left to end up running towards that monkey who is behind a fence in the oil barrel room. But ultimately, you can catch enough monkeys at this point in the stage just to finish off with that one there in the water. That room sucks, but ultimately this level isn't too bad. I think it's a pretty good introduction to the RC car, which is a tool I like a lot. Also, I'm really surprised. Natalie and the professor have been kidnapped, yes, but they don't even have Cassie do the stage clear? I mean, come on. Ample opportunity to actually use her as a character. By and large, she only gets those cutscenes we've seen her in thus far and the stage intros, and that's it. I think she might be more involved in the tutorial section, which is something I haven't even talked about, and I'll get more into that into a moment. Because now it's time for us to move on to the mid-stage of World 6. This is Specter's Factory. This stage can be a little bit of a problem, but we also get some interesting new mechanics thrown into it that don't really get used nearly enough, honestly. So right off the bat, we have a new vehicle in this stage that is only used in this stage and the next stage. A tank. This controls a bit weirdly. To move forward, you have to push both sticks forward. To move backwards, you have to push them both backwards. If you want to turn, you have to just push one forward or one forward and the other backwards. Depends if you want to just rotate or move. If you want to rotate, though, you have to push one forward, one backwards. And by pressing, I think it's the R1 button, might be one of the sticks in, you fire a shot forward that can break these walls, kill enemies, or even stun monkeys. And we have a surprising amount of mini-boss type enemies in this level, ranging from what this monkey tries to get into, which is an auto turret of sorts, to other things we'll be seeing later on. Now, something I mentioned a moment ago. There's a tutorial segment I'm basically not toying with at all in the game because it doesn't factor into 100% at all. I believe it's if you head to the left in the time chamber. You can just find a room that gives you more in-depth tutorials, I believe, on every single tool in the game. But at the same time, I might be misremembering because I might be confusing that with one of the later Ape Escapes because it also might just be the tutorial segments you get for the tools, period. Honestly, I understand how the game works at a level enough that I haven't been there in so long. It genuinely might have been since Paul and I traded this game back and forth between each other when I was a little kid. Which at that point, that's been since like, I was in elementary school, and that happened a lot when my dad was going through a surgery. So that would have been 2003 or 4. Oh god, that was over 18 years ago, at least at this point. So right here, what we're seeing is actually what the RC car is going to be used for a lot, not only in this game, but in subsequent games in the series too. You're going to have a lot of segments where you're just separated outright from the RC car, and you need to just drive it through various hazards. If it gets KO'd, there's usually a sort of checkpoint, but it's sort of a platforming segment without the platforms, I guess is a way to put it. Earlier in the LP, I mentioned a particular, like, model city set piece from Ape Escape 3. That's what one of these is, even. I've always liked these, but sometimes they lack feedback, and admittedly, in this case, I think it's because I don't have vibration turned on my controller, at least with BizHawk. I probably should. I just don't. Because honestly, I'm so used to not feeling vibration when playing on my computer that having it on feels weird. Oh, hey, another green monkey. They're rare. Honestly, the funny thing is to me, by the way, you can make the RC car spawn on top of you by pressing a certain button that they tell you in the tutorial. I forget what it is unless I'm playing. I want to say it might be one of the sticks. Yeah, it's probably actually pressing R3 now that I think about it. A lot of the switches you use the RC car on by default to use as a pressure switch. You can also just use the hula hoop and just speed through the door in a very precise manner. Emphasis on very precise, though, because it's usually like a matter of, oh god, I basically clipped through the doorway. Now, Specter's factory, once we're inside, gets relatively straightforward. The big thing is we have a lot of more unique platform mechanics here, like these three rotating switches, which actually go into like a platform chain. This is fun platforming. I wish we got more of this. We even got one of the few like truly timed switches in the game here. At least with how they use the platforming. Ow, that's a hammer. I really do think Ape Escape is a really good example of a tech demo. They do a lot of things right, but there's some things they really could have just gone further on that the sequels do. Although in some regards, Ape Escape 2 goes a little too far on some things and Ape Escape 3 backtracks. Also, we saw there a little funny behavior thing with some of the monkeys. Sometimes they're meant to not escape a certain area, and if you use the RC car as an initial aggressor, you can just get them stuck on it and have them just run in a circle over and over and over again. It's funny to see, but man, does it look funky. And hey, it's advantageous because it allows you to easily capture the monkeys, at least. Alright, which room is... Okay, it's this room. These boxes are totally not a new set piece. I wonder what's gonna happen here. Metal Gear. So, this monkey robot is another mini-boss type. It can charge towards you to try and then do a punch attack. If you stay too close to you, it can grab you and throw you. What you want to do, though, is let it charge at you by staying a certain distance and then hitting it on the gas tanks on the back. At which point, it'll jump in the air, landing somewhere within the vicinity, and then try to just start its pattern over again. It's a cool little fight, but it does go on, I think, exactly 2 hits too long. There are times where the rule of 3 that Nintendo uses a lot for its mini-bosses and boss fights exists for a reason. It makes the fight feel a healthy length without drowning on too long, usually. Sometimes fights that take 4 or 5 hits just feel like they take too long. Now, this is potentially where you'll really start to notice a lot of the glowing panels that we've seen throughout the game. There's another one coming up here, and even the blocks that we saw earlier in the stage that we used the tank for. The final tool in the game, if you want to wait to get that, you really just can. Because there's at least 2 more monkeys past this point that I do not go get. My main focus in a lot of cases with what monkeys, with the decisions that drove me to choose which monkeys to get during the first runs of stages, was whether or not I could get Specter coins. Because there are some Specter coins we couldn't get throughout the first roam through the stages because we didn't have, say, the propeller. And that is what really drove my choices. That and limited monkeys at times in the earlier stages. For some reason I recall that being my last monkey, but you know what? I think I'm thinking of my practice run of this stage. Because sometimes practice runs really do blend in with main recorded runs. Like, there's a monkey down here, which I think is the last monkey I get here, but I think in my practice I got either that monkey I just got last, or one in the next room last. And the next room's full of a lot of conveyor belts that are very easy to circumvent because you can just propeller between them and land on their spawners. The blue monkeys, I think they really want, or the dark blue monkeys, they really, I feel, want you to use either the RC car to bait them in a certain direction, the slingshot to stun them, or the hula hoop to catch up with them. I feel like they just don't have enough ways to be dealt with in Ape Escape 1, control-wise at least. 2 and 3, less so. And again, if you're playing the PSP version, you'll have even worse ways to deal with them because you'll have one less tool button. The PSP remake wasn't a bad idea in concept. I really think they probably should have waited until the Vita to do that, but I forget exactly how early of a PSP game the remake was. So you know what? Let me look that up real quick. Ape Escape on the Loose. Yes! Released March 17th, 2005. God, that game is 17 years old. PSP release date. Oh my god, was that a launch title? That was a launch title for the PSP. Okay, you know what? I understand wanting to have that out then. Because the Vita wasn't out until, I want to say I was in high school, or maybe late middle school, one of the two. Either way, that's Specter's Factory. It can go on a little long, but at least has enough interesting going on that it's pretty easy to get past. With that, though, let's actually take a look at how our save file is doing, because I don't think I've shown off a save since the start of the game, if even. we're going into the penultimate main level of the game, so let's see how we're looking. And from here, you're going to get a good judge of how much cleanup we're going to have to do after the final level. Now, we haven't saved since Snowy Mammoth behind the scenes, and we are at 45%. Between the second visits and the other stuff we're going to have to do in the game, over half the game's completion percentage, or just under half even, is locked to redoing stages. It's kind of rough in that regard. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in Part 8, we're going after the second to last main level in the game. See you guys then. Almost hit the wrong button. Alright.